Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Hello, and thank you for downloading this episode of The Horse Show on Wisp Sports. This is Season 4, Episode 6, and I'm Chris Stafford. Hello. Well, I'm fresh back from the Land Rover Kentucky 3-day event. If you follow the Horse Show, you will know that we were following some riders in our previews to the Land Rover Kentucky 3-day event on previous episodes. Two of those riders, Frankie Tirot-Stutz and Hallie Coon, were both to be first-timers. And Caroline Martin was a rider who's ridden there before, but this time she was taking two horses. Well, it turned out to not be their year. Frankie had to withdraw before the competition. Her horse was not quite right in the final days of training, so she decided to save him for another day. Hallie Coon and Cecelia had a run out at the lake, coming out of the lake, that is, on the bank there, and a couple of refusals, so she actually retired from the cross-country, unfortunately, to end her Land Rover Kentucky 3-day event, and very unfortunate for her. And also, unfortunately, Caroline Martin had a fall on Islandwood Captain Jack at the Normandy Bank, and that ended her competition, and she was not fit to compete on the second horse that she had entered, that was Danger Mouse. So very sad for Caroline. I know she was bitterly disappointed, but she will live to fight another day, of course. So I hope we didn't jinx them by previewing their run-up to this year's Land Rover Kentucky 3-day event. It was otherwise a fantastic competition, lots of fun. I know if you followed the sport, you will know that Oliver Townend won with Cooley Masterclass for the second year running. The new United States Equestrian Federation national champion is Boyd Martin after his superb round on Zetterleg. And in third place was the Kiwi Tim Price. So it was an all-male 1-2-3 at this year's Land Rover Kentucky 3-day event. So my featured guest this week is Mexican event rider Daniela Moguel, who competed in her third Kentucky 3-day event this past weekend with the mare Cecelia, who was her partner at the 2015 Pan American Games, where they finished 12th and later went on to complete the 2018 World Equestrian Games. Her journey to the top of the sport has been an adventure, born on determination to do the sport she loves, in spite of growing up in a country where eventing is not a popular sport, even within the equestrian world. It was in her hometown of Mexico City where her story began, and her love of horses that drew her to the Alfil Riding Club, where she was to take her first lessons. Mexico's leading equestrian sport is show jumping, so it was there that she began to learn to compete. And Daniela tells the story of how it was some time later when she saw a photo of a woman jumping through water that caught her eye and made her want to try eventing. And it was to be some time later that she connected with that rider, Karen O'Connor, who became her coach and friend. With 11 horses now in her barn in Shelby, North Carolina, Daniela is training alongside her husband, Zully Martinez. And Daniela now has her sights set on her second Pan American Games this summer, riding her 9-year-old Selle Francais gelding, Chalok, and with Cecelia to qualify this fall for the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. I caught up with Daniela after she had arrived home, and Cecelia was out in the paddock enjoying some spring grass. Hi, Daniela. Welcome to the program.
Hi, I'm very pleased to be here with you. Thank you for calling me. It's a pleasure for me.
Well, it was great to watch you at the weekend at the Land Rover Kentucky 3-day event, and you completed on the mare, Cecelia. What were your biggest takeaways there? Because obviously you've been there before, so you know the course, or at least know what it feels like to ride at that level. How did you find your experience this time, and what were your biggest takeaways?
Well, I was talking to my husband how every single time we go to an event like that, especially there in a place with so much history, horse history, right? And how every time we're there, it's a really big revelation for us. The first time was 2016 when we finished clear. The first time I was, back then was a 4-star, right? So
yes.
It was the first time I realized I was able to perform in that level. You know, me and my mare, because she had never done that before. So it was a great revelation for us to see that we could be part of that group of riders. The second time I fell off. And after that, a lot of, a lot of personal matters bring back to my life. And after that fall, actually, it was great to see how after that I could race again and come back stronger. And this time is actually the first time Cecelia ever stopped. To me, at least, I had never had a stop on Cecelia ever. I had run out or fell off, but never had a stop. And the fact that something that I was not planning on happened, and be able to make a decision and finish as strong as we finished, to me, a lot of things happened before the cross country. We had a little bit of drama before cross country, so I was not mentally 100% focused when I start my cross country. And then the stop happened, and I think it's because Cecelia felt me not being 100% focused, and the fact that we were able to regroup and finish as strong as ever, it makes me feel really proud, not only about me or about her, but about my team, about the whole group of people who's behind us, and they were cheering out there for me. I have to tell you that the strength came from those people. When I had the stop, I thought I should just call it a day. This was not meant to be today. And then I turned around, I saw the option. I said, I'll just jump the option and retire after this. And when I finished jumping the jump, I heard the crowd calling my name, "Go, Danny, go!" And I have to tell you, that's when I thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to finish this because so many people are out here cheering for me. We're going to make this happen. So the biggest takeout is going to be that one, to realize that you're not out there on your own. You are riding, and you are out there for a lot of other reasons and a lot of people. And that will be my biggest takeout this weekend, to realize how many people are behind us. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you hit on something there, because you did stop. It was early on in the course, the first water, and that must have been a real wake-up call as well, that the mare just switched off, and what's going on here. But you mentioned that you got that reaction from the crowd, and I think that does speak to the nature of this event. It's a 5-star event for the first time ever. It's the highest level of competition here in North America, and I think because you were going into this competition, no one was expecting you to win, but you have a lot of international experience now, Daniela, and it's interesting how the crowd, the sports fans there knew you and were cheering you on, and it does speak to that sort of bigger occasion in the sport, isn't it? And what a wonderful community it is, and how many people were actually cheering you on there.
That was amazing. I have to tell you, like every time I think about it, or right now you're just mentioning it, it gives me goosebumps. I mean, I feel so proud and so happy, and I cannot thank everybody who's behind that. I mean, seriously, it's an amazing community. It is pretty cool.
Well, as you said, you continued, and probably with renewed determination to continue and finish the course. How did the rest of it ride for you? Because you do know that track, although some of the other combinations were obviously different this year, but relatively.
It was different. I have to tell you, it was harder than what I thought it was going to be. It was a big course, and I had to ride every single stride of it. like you said, when she stopped, it was a wake-up call to say, hey, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to be here 100%. So it rode harder than what I was expecting to. So, but it was amazing. I mean, I felt great. I felt Cecelia was really, really good. But yeah, it was big. It was a big course.
So you must have felt an enormous relief then when you came through the finish and the mare was obviously going well at that point, some time penalties, but that's what you would expect with having a stop. But what were your biggest takeaways then from her performance on Saturday night?
I think the mare is super, super extra sensitive, and I think she actually saved me or saved us having that wake-up call. You know, I felt that it's like Danny, Mommy, are you with me or are you not? Because if you're not 100% with me, we're not doing this. So actually, when I finished the cross country and when I realized that we crossed the finish line, I said, I love this mare. I just love her because she is one of a kind, and she knows exactly what to do and when to do. And I know she gave her 100%. You know, she gave her heart out there because she loves to jump and she loves to run, and she's not gonna do it stupidly. You know, she said, "Are you here or are you not?" So my biggest takeout is, once more, she proved to me that she is smarter or more sensible than I think she was. So, yeah, I love her every day, even more.
Yeah, it's a wonderful partnership with her. And then we mentioned you've competed, of course, at the Pan Am Games for Mexico and finished 12th there in 2015. Yes. And you've really, I think, taken on the sport in a way which is really interesting, coming from a country where eventing is not a mainstream sport. It's really an uphill challenge to establish your own team, get the support that you need and the finance you need to continue in the sport. So you're at an interesting place, I think, in your career. You were telling me that you now have a property in near Tryon in North Carolina, so you're well located for the sport. But I want to just rewind a little bit, if we can here, Daniela, to how it all began and why you established a sort of passion and determination to make it in the sport, because it wouldn't have been easy when you started in Mexico.
Oh, no, like you said, I mean, it's not a big sport in Mexico. It's been always a military sport. And I have to tell you, I have no idea why I like horses. I mean, I remember when I was a little kid, instead of asking for a doll or for a toy, I wanted a horse. I wanted a pony. That's all I remember. Both of my parents are psychologists, so they had no idea about horses. So I guess I was just born with it. And I remember watching, magazines and watching the girls who jump into the Olympic Games and stuff. And I remember being, 8, 10 years old, saying, I'm going to do that one day. That's going to be me in that cover. And I started taking just riding lessons a couple of times a week with not my horse. I didn't get my own horse until I was 15. And one thing took to another. I always had the dream, and I follow it. It's been hard coming in a country that, like you said, financially, it's not capable of support their athletes. But I mean, if there's a will, there's a way, always. And again, one of the biggest takeouts this weekend is that one. If there's a will, there's a way, because even with everything against the odds, we finish the event. And why not, right? I mean, even if you are yellow or red or black or white or brown, it doesn't matter. You have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and you have the same ability that anyone coming from England or Ireland or whatever. And even people who have no legs or no arms, they get to ride because they have the the will to do it, right? So it's about determination, not about anything else.
It certainly is, absolutely, the spirit. I'm curious, when you talked about getting your first pony, your first horse, at the age of 15, but how did you go about getting lessons? What were the opportunities there to actually learn to ride and learn then to compete? And who were your coaches and your inspiration and the opportunities?
The show jumping in Mexico it's big. I mean, people do that show jumping. So I started as a show jumper we call it club. So they are instructors who have ponies to ride and teach you lessons. It's not like a pony club. It's more like a club. You go, you ride, and you have your lesson, and you're gone. And then if you can buy your own horse, you can leave the horse in that barn, and they take care of the horse. So a friend of mine who had a horse, she invited me one day to take a lesson, and then I stayed. We were 10 years old. And then my parents bought me my first horse, Tequila. Tequila was his name. And I was all I knew was show jumping, because that's what we know in Mexico. And I was in a show jumping show, and I remember I saw a poster of a lady jumping into a water jump. And I said, oh, wow, that's what I want to do. I want to show jump. I want to go and jump into the water. And it was a Karen O'Connor picture. At that day, I have no idea who she was. But after I knew who she was, she became my idol and my icon, And I said, I remember watching Rolex videos and badminton videos, and every time I watched her, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this lady. And she was my person, right? And like I said, if you have a dream, you just follow it, because now she's one of my best friends, and we get along so well, and she's my trainer, and she has told me a lot. I had learned a great deal, not only about horses, but about life from her. So it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. And, of course, as you mentioned there, Mexico knows about show jumping, but not so much about eventing. It's not an established sport, neither is dressage. But at what point, then, did you decide, okay, well, you talked about, watching Karen and being inspired, but then you had to find someone to give you lessons and teach you how to not only go cross country, but importantly, to do dressage in a way that would make you competitive. So how did you put all those pieces together and start competing? How old were you?
So I was 15 years old when I got Tequila, and there's a small community that do eventing in Mexico. As I said, it's mostly military. But there are small community, civilian community, that they like the sport. So I approached them, and I started with Tequila doing shows. My dressage was terrible because I had no one to teach me, but I just wanted to jump the jumps, right? So that's how I entered the eventing community, starting to go to small shows, novice shows, with my horse. And I met Alfonso Gomez, who he did the Pan American Games in Canada, Manolo Ramirez, Aurelio Quinzaños. I rode with him and his wife, Maribel Quinzaños, which is an international dressage judge. And I rode for them 12, 13 years. And they were actually the couple who helped me to buy Cecelia. In an instance. So that's how, in a small community, we made it happen. So
yes.
Yep.
From small and modest beginnings. And then, of course, it was natural that you would want to come to the US and compete here. So talk a little bit about that journey and how you've got to establish from, first coming here to compete, to actually now having your own business. You've got 11 horses in the barn, you were telling me. You've got now an established business. You're an established competitor here. So how did that journey happen?
So when I met Mr. Aurelio and Maribel Quinzaños. They asked me to ride one of their horses to see if we could go to the Pan American Games. This was 2003, I think. And that's how I met them. And I said to Aurelio what I want to do in life. I mean, I actually quit the university. I dropped out because I said what I want to do is I want to be a professional rider and I want to have my students. And that's how I started my business at his place in Mexico City. And he helped me to develop my business with my students and my horses. And then when I met Zully, my husband, he jumped into the equation really easily. So we started the business together. And he is a fantastic rider also and trainer. So especially kids and ladies love him. Which is okay.
Which is a good thing, yeah.
It's okay, exactly. As long as they bring the horses to the business, it's fine.
That's fantastic. Well, it obviously sounds as if you're in a very good place now. You're based near Tryon, North Carolina, fantastic location there. And you've got a barn full of horses. So talk about the others, apart from Cecelia now, who obviously is having a nice break after Kentucky. Talk about the other horses you have and your plans for the season ahead, Daniela.
Well, after we, as I said, the eventing world in Mexico is not big. That's why we end up coming to U.S. and that's why we decide to close everything in Mexico City and come over here because we both wanted to keep the options open, for us to show in a bigger scene. So that's why we closed everything in Mexico and came over here. And we brought a couple of very nice horses from La Silla, which are mostly bred to jump. They're jumpers. They're like wonderful bloodlines. So we have a couple of babies from La Silla that we would like to bring along. I have 2 mares from Mr. Pedro Gutierrez, which is an excellent eventing rider. He's one of the biggest riders in Mexico for eventing, the small community I was talking to. So he gave me 2 of his horses, and especially one of them, we are really keeping our hopes up for that one. I think if everything stays in the right place, I think she can be an upper level horse, and that's why he gave it to me. Zully has a really nice horse also from La Silla. He just did his first 1-star on him. Well, now 2-star, I'm sorry. And we have basically green horses jumping. Zully had the 1-star, and he actually asked me to ride that horse and see if we can qualify him for the next Pan American Games this coming August. So I'll try to go to qualify him in Bromont in a month and see if we can qualify that one.
Fantastic. So you've got a pretty busy schedule there with competing, and you're also teaching then, are you now, Daniela, as well as your husband?
Yes. Well, now we have to pay our bills ourselves. So we have to teach a lot. And it's been amazing how well received we have been in this community in Shelby and the area. People really like our lessons, and we took already our first group of kids to a show in fence, and Zully's student won first place. So we are getting there slowly, but we're getting there. We're very excited to help the community and to bring the level higher in this area. So we'll see.
And, of course, riders, as well as coaching and training, they often need to sell horses to generate revenue. And is this something that is an important part of your business model, or are you thinking of breeding and selling? What are you looking at in terms of the horses making some money for you?
Absolutely. That's one of the most important parts in the business, right? So what I would like to do is to introduce these Mexican La Silla horses to the eventing world, and that will be my idea, to try to bring them along, show them, sell them and keep bringing them. I don't think breeding is my idea. Maybe buy them as babies, train them, and then sell them. That will be my goal. And I want to start with these two ones I just bring from Mexico.
Right. Now, what about sponsorship, though? Are you able to generate sponsorship from Mexican companies? What are you looking at right now for those opportunities?
No, not at all. And that's actually one of the main reasons we decided to come and establish ourselves here. In Mexico, it's really hard to get sponsors because there's a law that they don't allow you to I mean, you can sponsor, but it's on your money. You don't deduct any taxes or anything because of the cartel money and money laundering that's happening in the country. So we had no sponsors from Mexico, even though we tried. It's basically sponsor. The only thing we had in Mexico is the support, as I said before, of Aurelio and Maribel, and of course, that came into an end because everything has a cycle, right? And now I have these horses from Mr. Pedro Gutierrez, and he's, to say, in a way, sponsoring me in that way. But sponsors, real sponsors, no. I mean, we have found a lot of support here in the U.S. with a lot of very nice brands, Custom Saddlery and Eponia and Botanica, and a lot of brands that they are supporting my team with stuff, saddles and vests and tack and all that stuff. But as far as Mexico goes, no support.
All right, let's look ahead to the rest of the spring season, the summer season. Then you mentioned that you want to try and qualify for the Pan Am Games later this year in Lima, Peru. What about other competitions, and what will you plan to do with Cecelia now in the fall?
So what we're going to try is going to be a little bit difficult because we want to go to Tokyo. We would love to qualify for Tokyo. The thing is, the qualifying system for the FBI is a little bit weird. So Cecelia, after what she did this weekend, she had to have at least a month or two off. So she's out of the equation. I will try to qualify. Chalok is the name of the horse for the Pan American Games. And then after that, I would like to do more four-star events with Cecelia and see if I can get the points to get to Tokyo. I think the last competition of the year would be either Fair Hill, the four-star at Fair Hill, or the Jockey Club in Ocala. So my goal with Cecelia will be that, finish my season either in Fair Hill or Ocala, depending on how she is doing, and see if at the end of the year we get enough points to go to Tokyo.
Well, that's a wonderful goal. Obviously, that would be a career highlight for you, Daniela. Oh, yeah. And in terms of your own rider growth, if you will, your growth as a rider and where you are now, what are you taking away from these major competitions? What are your biggest lessons that you're learning from competing at the highest level of the sport in this country?
Well, it's going to sound cheesy, and I said it before, but if the dreams do come true, dreams can become true no matter where you come from, no matter where you are, no matter if you're rich or poor or black or white. I mean, this is a proof to myself that if you have a dream and if you follow it, you will find a way and to become reality. So that's basically every time I have a big competition and we finish, and even if we don't finish, it's part of the deal, but it makes me feel really proud of myself. I'm very happy that I had a dream and it became true.
Well, that's a great message. Absolutely. And you clearly are determined to go as far as you possibly can in the sport. And and getting some great experience, obviously, competing at the highest level. So the very best of luck with your goals to get to not just the Pan Am Games, but the Tokyo Olympic Games next year, Daniela. I hope it goes well. Yeah, and well done again for completing the Land Rover Kentucky 3-day event. Good luck the rest of the season. Thanks for coming on the show, Daniela.
Oh, I love to anytime, and thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I'm looking forward to see you again.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
My thanks again to Daniela. You can find the show notes and photos that accompany this episode on the website at wispsports.com. And while you're there, don't forget to check out all the other coverage we have here of women's sports, from podcasts to videos, articles and blogs. You can keep up with us on social media at Wisp Sports, or you can drop us a line directly to info@wispsports.com if you have any comments, questions or suggestions. We would love to hear from you, especially if you have any suggestions for sports that we should be covering or athletes we should feature on the shows. Thank you for downloading Wisp Sports Podcasts. We do appreciate it, knowing that you have so many choices now when it comes to podcasts. So thank you for that, and for supporting women in sport everywhere. Until the next time, thanks for listening. Goodbye for now.